Welcome back to 8 Cubes. I'm KMBest. That's not Lamby's series. It's Huskypuppies 35, everyone's favorite YouTube podcast guest. Husky, high-level player, high-level streamer, high-level content creator. You can catch him over on Twitch. One of my favorite people to talk about Marvel Snap with, which is great because that's what we're going to be doing here, starting with Selene, Horseman of Famine. And I really hope I got that right, because if she's not the Horseman of Famine, then her design makes a lot less sense. Selene is a 4/4 objective, have 3 cards without abilities, steal 5 from a unit at her location. Great famine theming here. How good is the card, Husky?
It seems like just a very, very hard thing to do. I think just, was it 3 or 4 that she needed?
She needs 3.
3 is like that borderline of maybe you can make it work, but that's dedicating multiple card slots to a fine thing. Not a great thing, a fine thing. Like debris is I think the way you could probably complete her the easiest, but you still need to play something else and something else that maybe isn't as great. I just don't think I can see it in as high-powered of a meta where every card in your deck needs to be great.
Yeah, I mean, like, it almost feels like this is an Ultron card. Like, that's what that's what it wants to be. Because, like, when I go through it, I'm like, how do I get cards that are good but also make guys, right? Like, Debris at 3/8, Rhino at 2/5, arguably Herbie, depending on, like, that. And then you just kind of run out of dudes, and you're like, I'm playing actual Patriot cards. I'm actually playing Misty Knight in my Patriot deck. Mysterio, yeah, sure, but that would have been a lot better when it was the old Mysterio, right? That's an instant proc if that's the old Mysterio. And it's just one of those things where I do feel like it is kind of funny that they run into this season, and they're like, huh, half the cards we made do something really stupid with Mysterio. Like, okay, maybe we should fix that. But generally speaking, I would say the thing that sticks out to me about this card is I am not sure a 4/14 is good. I'm not going to say that it is bad. I think it is like a strong enough number that it's like, yeah, I can see that being a pretty impactful thing. I am not sure that 4/14 that gets blanked by Luke Cage and has a bunch of requirements is good. Because if you want to play a 4 big that gets blanked by Luke Cage, you can play Man-Thing. That card already exists, and you don't have to do most of the work. I think this card is not necessarily incorrect, but much like Caliban, who we'll talk about in a little bit, is a card that is held back by the fact that it is very linear. It just is a big guy, and that's sort of it. Nothing? Oh, damn.
No, I thought you wanted to do it.
No. You like, if you got something to add, feel free. Like, as long as we're keeping it punchy.
You pretty much got it.
Yeah, okay.
I was like, yeah, that's a good stopping point.
I should leave that on. I should leave the part where you're like, I pretty much got it on. Because otherwise people in the comments will be like, you talk too much. You're talking over your guests. I have to leave that on now.
All right.
Next up is Ozymandias 5/9 plus 3 power to all your rocks as an ongoing ability. I will be probably not the first person to say this. This card rocks. I am a big fan of the concept here. I am a big fan of the idea of Rock Lord. Debris is already a card that's seeing some play. Like, just baseline, she's one of the biggest 3s to exist. When I think about trying to play Ozymandias, though, what I keep doing is being like, okay, that's cool, but it's like very linear stats, right? Like, this is stats that is not multiplicative, so I need something in the deck to like make sure that what I'm doing is going to be able to beat a combo deck. And when I go out there and I look for like, you know, an injection of potential, I come up with maybe Supergiant for this. But other than that, it's like, I don't even think that's going to be the best way to do it. And then it's like, if that's not the best way to do it, what am I actually doing with this deck except for losing to every deck that does more points than me?
Yeah. My problem with this card is, what are the synergy pieces other than you got Debris, you got Rhino, you got Hope you match into your opponent playing Darkhawk, but then you're probably just winning anyways because Darkhawk is not terribly great right now. And I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, this is a go wide sort of thing that just doesn't seem to do enough with enough cards right now. This card looks so cool, but until they print more, rocks that get to your side of the field, I don't see it, because you could play them with Patriot, but they only overlap with rocks, and that's a tough ask.
I do think the Patriot thing is like fine, right? Like it's like a fine thing to do. The problem with that is that it's Patriot, right? Like that's where you run into the problem. And it's like, okay, so is this even a thing that I really want to be doing all that much of? And you kind of end up with no. I think you said something really smart there, though, which is this is a go wide deck that doesn't have the ability to go wide. It's Patriot without Ultron. It's just playing Debris and playing Rhino and playing Herbie and just being like, here's some stats. And I think that that is the kind of thing that can supplement another strategy. And like, yeah, okay, I've got Sandstorm. That's a good thing with my Debris, I got Sandstorm. I got Mole Man.
Oh, true.
I can play those cards. But I think the thing you run into with those cards is they're not very good.
Yeah.
Which, especially Mole Man, like Sandstorm, I think is actually like, that's an okay card. That's a pretty good card. I like it. Like, it's not what we're doing right now, but I don't hate being able to make some guys and just play those guys. I think it probably will be a card Ozymandias decks play. Mole Man is like, if you're playing this, you might have just given up on ever getting above a 50% win rate.
Yeah, it's the last problem I have with it. For Sandstorm and Mole Man, just play Victoria Hand. It's so much better. Like, dedicating a 5 cost to get one more point on your rocks than Victoria Hand, and Victoria Hand buffs a lot more things. It just feels bad.
Speaking of feeling bad, we got to review Caliban. I'm overstating it. He's fine. He's like what, the second or third best stats 3-drop you can play, probably. Like, he gets a little frame mogged by Drax, a little bit of like, okay, you'd probably rather play Drax in basically every scenario, but it seems like he's making a home for himself in Doom 2099 decks, if nowhere else. He is at least a card that has a home. If he suffers from anything, it's the lack of specialness to him. He's just a good guy, and being just a good guy, like, it's good as long as you're there, but it's a precarious position to be in. Look at Gladiator. Gladiator used to be the good stats man. Copycat used to be the good stats lady. You don't really see those guys anymore, and it's because of stuff like this where it's just like, you will only ever be as good as your competition allows you to be. And over time, better cards for that role will come out, and that role even might become less and less a part of the metagame. Like Gladiator, there are less decks that want this than are even able to, than previously would have existed. So while I do think he has a home in like medium Wiccan decks and Doom 2099 for the foreseeable future, I don't know if that's a home that I would expect to, keep a hold of. He's got a pretty, his mortgage has a pretty high interest rate.
Yeah. Good stats are only good until the next good stats cards come out. And in order to sell the next good stat card, it's got to be better than the last one. And that last one's going to be Caliban. I tried him. I really only think he's going to be in Doom 2099. Like, I really wanted to make him work in like an Afflict deck. He's an Affliction card. Yeah. Whoa, you play him with Ajax. But unfortunately, he doesn't work with Malekith. He doesn't work under Supergiant. He doesn't work with Ensabanor on the last turn, because you just missed that window. And
that makes genuinely really no sense to me, by the way. Like, I know that the window has already happened, but let's say I played Caliban after Ensabanur, right? Ensabanur goes off and then pulls the card that would trigger the Caliban. It would trigger, but if it pulls the Caliban, it doesn't trigger. And that doesn't make any sense to me. That makes absolutely no sense.
It's weird, man. I would very much like it. Like, half of me wants them to change that timing window so everything triggers in play order and then resolves fully. But then we get a lot of Gambit, new Gambit messing with the mirror, so that'll be annoying, but I think it would just be a lot more intuitive. Oh, very cute cat.
Yeah, she showed up and started meowing at my feet, and I had to go grab her. Now she's meowing in my microphone.
I don't know what I was saying, but yeah, he's objective cards have an annoying window that's annoying to learn and annoying to play around and annoyingly restrictive.
Yeah, it's weird because it feels like they got a lot of things right with objective in terms of making it intuitive, making a good mechanic, getting a lot of things that are easy to understand. But everything you don't understand about objective just from reading it always is negative. Like if there's an interaction with objective, you're like, I don't know how this works. It's safe to assume it does not work the way you want. Like it's just like that's crazy. You'd think that just by chance they'd get one right, they'd get one that actually works in the way that is beneficial to the player playing the card. All of them, it's just like whatever scenario you're in, it's like, oh, how does it work under Supergiant? Not the way you want. How does it work if you pull it off in Summoner? Not the way you want. How does it work under Invisible Woman? Not the way you want. How does it work in a Dark Dimension? Not the way you want. Every single one of them is not the way you want, and it's like, okay, that's a really incredible hit right there. You asked me to put this topic on here, so I'm just going to say what the topic is and throw it straight to you. This is the topic called tech. What is it that you feel is different about the environment for tech in this context?
I'm just trying to figure out, like, what's the couple cards that you need to tech things right now? Because at the moment, it feels like you need 4 different tech cards, but you only ever have space for 2.
Yep.
And I just haven't figured out the right configuration, if there even is one, to try to do, supplement moderately fair things and give them a chance of winning. I don't know what there is. Like, Cosmo's got to be in there. I know one of those spots has got to be Cosmo. I just have no idea what the other thing I need is. And that might be just a meta health judgment as a whole, but it's like, do you got any ideas for, like, how do we supplement fair decks?
It's Mobius and Stardust would be my other two that come to mind. Mobius largely out of deference to the Mr. Negative deck, which, as far as I'm aware, to the best of my knowledge, like I know the trackers are not particularly reliable, but
I don't trust the trackers.
It's the most played deck. And I think they're pretty good at tracking that, at least. If you don't trust the win rate, I get it. You don't trust the cube rate, I get it. But I'm pretty sure they're reasonably able to track what things are being played. And Mr. Negative with Star-Lord in it is the most played deck in both Ranked and Conquest across basically any slice you do. So for that reason, I'm a big Mobius guy. Supergiant is not super. Well, not sorry. Did I say Supergiant or Stardust? Because I meant Stardust. Good. Okay. I got my 4 6s that start with S and are inexplicably good tech cards confused. This is a card that I think is pretty clearly third in the hierarchy, but it is good against a pretty wide variety of stuff. Like, there's a shocking amount of decks that are just like, I'm going to play En Sabanur and do something with him right now. Decks that are like Jubilee Blink, even Ramp is a Blink deck. Doom 2099 gets hit by that. It's not a great deck card against, like, most of the top tier. Does nothing against a Victoria hand deck. Only really hits Star-Lord Zola in that matchup. But it has, like, hits against that deck, and it's got hits against the Scarlet Spider sometimes out of the other lists. It's the worst of them, I think. But that's mostly because it costs 4. If it costs 3, I think it might be one of the better ones.
Oh yeah, that 3 breakpoint is huge.
Yeah, can I tell you what's been rattling around in my brain?
Go for it.
Do you remember when the Invisible Woman First Steps deck played, like, Cosmo Mobius Stardust?
Oh God, yeah.
That's been rattling around in my brain, and it's like, I wish I want to try to recreate that, but then the second you do it, you're like, I get Cosmic Ghost Rider and die, and you're like, I guess I can't do it anymore. It's like, I don't know what other deck can facilitate those cards. Victoria Hand cannot. It's just that. And so you're just like, how the hell do I play all these cards? Thanos.
No, then you never draw them. I hate that. No. It's like Thanos is second only to Arishem, and oh God, I need a specific card, and I will not draw it unless my opponent is playing it.
That's what happened last time, right? Like, before I got to the all-tech IWFS deck, I was playing, like, Tech Thanos, and I was like, I'm never drawing these cards on time. I need to do anything else. But now I just don't think there's a deck that fits that profile. Like, it's quite difficult. You're right. Now, we could do two approaches to this topic. The first is to ask the title and say, is Shou dead? And then we both just say no. And then we go to the next topic and we're just like, let's. But I think it's probably a little more informative to say, like, no, and here's why. Largely what I've seen out of Shou is either the Honifer Activate build, which is just another version of sort of full combo Shou, and the typical, more traditional build with Mysterio Luke Cage added in as a third thing you can put a Shou buff onto, where your entire game plan is just, I'm going to double my Shou buff, good luck. And both of those, I think, are viable, but I do think that they're both in pretty awkward situations where, of the metagame trifecta, Star-Lord and Gambit decks, Shou is actually pretty clearly 3. So take us through what your approach would be to Shou as an archetype, and I guess as a follow-up, why it's not a good fit for those tech cards we're talking about.
Shou has, first, I'm going to answer in reverse order. It's not a good fit for the tech cards because 3s and 4s are tricky to weave into a Shou deck.
Yep.
It's like you need a critical mass of just low-cost cards that you can play together, and your turn 5 is kind of spoken for already by playing the card that makes Shou unfair, which is something that doubles his on reveal in the form of Maverick or Scarlet Spider. So you're kind of left with, okay, I can play a 3+1 on 4, and I can't really run 4-drops or 5-drops that are tech cards. So you're kind of left in like, okay, what are the 2-drop tech cards I can run? And that's kind of like Armor plus Gorgon. Which, you know, to be fair, I have been seeing a little bit of Armor just as a tech for that Gambit piece, protects your Maverick and stuff like that. And that's not bad. That is not a bad thing, but it's just a concession that you don't want to have to make, but you really, really have to. And it just bumps them down a couple spots into everything else.
It also, like, the real thing is that Shou, you talked about 2-cost tech cards. It really can only run 1-cost tech cards. It can run Deafening Chord. It can run Iceman. Yeah. It can run Spider Ham. That's what it gets to do. It can run Nico Minoru to deal with your Limbo or Merlin.
1 out of 7 times every time, of course.
Like those are the actual options it has available to. That's where the deck has flexibility, because in order for its game plan to actually matter, like, we have gotten to a point where Shou is actually a meaningful deck restriction when we're in a metagame that has this many good tech cards.
It's rough. I wouldn't even call the tech cards good. I would just call them, like, if you don't stop them, the thing that they are stopping is just like, it's a flood of points and bullshit and everything in between. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm playing a 4/6, but that 4/6 stops me from getting Modoc Hella, which is apparently a deck now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a deck for like 2 months.
I don't...
It's been a deck. It's not been particularly good, but it's been around. Like, it's... I gotta tell you, I feel like everyone's playing the bad version of it. Like, everyone's playing the version with, like, Crystal and Howard the Duck, because they get to play Crystal and Howard the Duck. And it's like, please, for the love of God, just, like, play the deck with good cards in it. I know that hearing that is sort of like, I don't know, like a demon hearing their true name, you know? Like, to some people, it's like if I say play a deck with good cards in it, they're like, KM, you're destroying creativity. I want you personally to fail. Like, I get that, but it is just one of those things where it's like, I do think it's a reasonable enough heuristic that if your deck is playing a card, and even if it's got a good reason to it, like, I think there's a pretty good reason to be a Crystal deck. I could totally see that. Like, I think there's a reason that deck was doing Crystal. You really have to ask yourself, not just, is there a good reason to do this, but what am I losing for doing it instead of something else? And I think especially with a deck like that has such a telegraphed endgame, it almost doesn't matter if you have your combo, because anyone who's smart is going to retreat into you anyway. Nobody's staying for your turn 6, bro. It's not happening.
You'd be surprised. Cam, what's the most played deck right now?
Negative.
You said it earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. same principle applies, and yet that is like,
I don't know, man. I gotta tell you, whenever I play that deck, I never get stays when I actually do my thing. When you actually get equity with that deck, is that you can win the games where you're limping. You do like a bad Star-Lord and like one flipped card. Like you do like Mr. Negative into a Star-Lord, and you're like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. And then you play like Gore Mystique, and you're like, that's enough. like that. Those are the ones people stay into. Nobody stays on the snaps. Nobody.
It's like, you shouldn't, but you have to remember, not everybody is high infinite. I know, we are in plays so much.
It's they shouldn't stay. Is what they shouldn't say.
Shouldn't.
If your opponent plays Howard the Duck on 2, Crystal on 4, Star-Lord on 5, and then they snap you on 6, leave.
Yeah.
Patch wishes. I'm going to start with you here. Is there anything that really sticks out to you as just like, I would like them to do something cool about this, or I would like them to do something not cool to this? Are there any cards where you're like, I wish that was better? Any cards where you're like, please get this out of my metagame?
It's like, I think we hit on, like, if we're talking functionality changes, I think just making objectives a little bit easier on the parts you don't see would just be so nice.
Yeah.
Because like I don't understand all the interactions, and I play this game oftentimes for like 4 to 6 hours a day, and that's I feel like that just hurts everyone else so much more than me, and the fact that I'm feeling that pain is not a good sign. Meta wise, just like it's been a long enough time since people bought Star-Lord. You can kill him. It's fine. It's like, you got your $10 worth. You got your $10 worth of Schadenfreude of just kicking your opponent while they're down, of doubling and doubling and doubling. I had a game where some guy got to 22 energy and just didn't snap off of it. And yeah, I'm just like,
I respect that play. I respect that play. I'll tell you exactly how that happened. That happened because they weren't sure if you were going to interact with the Star-Lord. And the second you don't interact with the Star-Lord, they know they've won, but if they snap, you're leaving. So they just don't snap until it's happened.
It's like, they had priority, man. It's like, I couldn't do anything to the startup. It's like, okay, it's not a good play pattern to have the best thing to do in your card game to not play cards for a solid 2/3 of the game. Just like, why is that a card that's allowed to exist? Other than that, honestly, I kind of want to see some tech buffs. Like, I know, Marvel Snap isn't a game about kicking other people's sandcastles. This isn't a sandcastle building competition. I want to be able to interact with my opponent, and my interaction be more significant than stopping them from absolutely steamrolling me and having a chance. I want my tech cards to be like a good thing to advance my game plan, rather than a thing to let my fair thing have a chance.
I think that's interesting, because there is one tech card that fits that description, and that card is Gambit. And I think that, like, Gambit is the sandcastle tech card, which is to say, making him work requires you to build a little bit of a sandcastle. You got to do some deck building concessions to actually make him happen. I don't know. I agree with launch Star-Lord into the sun. I think he can go be the master of the sun in the sun. You know, he can go be there instead of in my card game. But I also do think that, like, a lot of that is because I would really like to see what this metagame looks like if it was allowed to be mid-rangey.
Man, it's like, just put like a once per game on Star-Lord, and just like, God, it's been so long since we've had a mid-range sort of deck that's like, yeah, I'm playing a couple. Don't say Shou Lao counts.
does kind of count.
He does not count. You cannot say that.
He counts a little bit, dog.
No, he only counts in the fact that, you know, he actually has to play cards to win the game. That's not mid-range. That is card game, Cam.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like the Iris version of Shou Lao, the Batroc stuff, Super Giant.
Have you been seeing the Iris deck at all?
Well, Iris herself, as soon as Gambit came out, I think uninstalled the game. But I have been seeing people doing it in the Shou list, or not the Shou list, the Supergiant list, and you can't really discount the fact that Supergiant did win the entire Golden Gauntlet. Like, it's not like mid-range is unplayable. It's just, it's been a while since we've... People are going to get mad at me for this. It's been a while since it's had room to breathe. Because Shou, I think your argument that Shou is not mid-range holds water so long as you accept that Shou is mid-range, as long as, like, it's mid-range that's bigger than every other mid-range. So it sits on top of mid-range's chest in much the same way as a combo deck typically does, even though it is, like, it's just combo-y enough that other mid-range decks are terrible, and there aren't good interaction pieces for it, right? And then Starlord came out, and it sits on top of mid-range's chest, and mid-range can't breathe. And so it kind of has been a few months since mid-range actually had room to breathe. Like, I do believe that. It's just, you know, the archetype has been playable, just like your specific, like, if you're a fan of a specific kind of mid-range deck, like if you're like I'm a discard guy, you know? You're a discard guy. You're a move guy.
You're a losing guy.
Yeah, you're a losing guy.
Yeah.
It's like, it's been one of those. Which is why it's so weird that it feels like this metagame is super open. Like, there's kind of just a lot of stuff you can do where it's like, yeah, you just like once you let go of the idea that you need to have a good matchup into everything, and you're just like, I'm gonna pick 2/3 of the meta to be good into, and then just die to the other third. You're like, yeah. I mean, I kind of play a lot of stuff as long as that is my methodology here.
Oh yeah, it's a great feeling realizing that you're going to lose to like at least one deck no matter what you play, so you can kind of play anything.
Even the good decks are instant losing to some of these decks. Like, that's just how it is, right? Like, what? You're a Shou deck, you don't have anything to protect you from Mr. Negative? Good luck, buddy. Like, they do it, you die.
No, yeah, I mean, it's neat. It's given life to some things that are kind of cope, and I like cope things.
Yeah.
Cope things are fun. Building a deck in, like, 2 minutes to the sound of Flight of the Bumblebee is some of the best times I've had in Snap. But, like, it just, those unwinnable matchups, man. It's like, I know I can beat 2/3 of the meta, but, like, why can't I have my cake and eat it too, man? I want that one.
I think it's fascinating because, like, some real heinous piles have been popping out of the woodwork recently.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the thing Roram was doing with, like, Jubilee and Sabanur, and it's like, I know that deck isn't good, but it does enough points that it's like whatever against the other mid-range decks, and you're just chilling. Like, it's like, I know what's going on here, and I know it is not something that is sustainable, but part of what's happening is, like, because those big three decks are eating up so much of the real estate when people make decks, you just play something that ignores the things that beat them, and you'll be, like, pretty okay. Like, that's kind of what's going on with, like, these decks that are just like, I'm going to play Astral Projection on my Jubilee, and then play Jubilee, and then play Dragonlord, right? If that was ever a deck people were taking seriously, it would fold immediately. You just, like, there's no backup plan. You just die if they play a Stardust. There's nothing else going on. You are dead. But it's in the space created by the oxygen being sucked up by those big three decks. You could just kind of do things, and it's, like, not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, you know, going without oxygen doesn't do great things to your brain, but if you turn the brain off a little bit and just, like, embrace it, you know, start breathing the CO2 a little bit more, it does get kind of fun. It's like, I don't think it's healthy, but in both terms, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's so weird because there's just so many. Like, tier 1 is very defined, but this feels like the largest tier 2 or tier 3 or whatever you want to say that we've basically ever had. Like, there's, like, if I lost to pretty much any deck, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, that seems like a thing you can do. Like, is it the best thing you can do? Nah, probably not. But, like, here are some decks that I had to leave off my tier list for various reasons, almost all of them related to time. I'm going to list off some decks.
All right.
Invisible Woman First Steps all in. Cerebro 3. Discard. Destroy. These are all decks that I'm pretty sure you can play and do pretty okay with, you know? Like, I'm not going to say they're good decks necessarily, but you can play them and it won't be that embarrassing. And it's like, you're going to get run over by the things that are particularly good into whatever sector of the metagame you're in. But if you can handle the other two sectors of the metagame, you should be all right. If you can go point for point with a Show Allow deck, go for it, dude. If you can go point for point with a V-hand deck and not be so vulnerable to Gambit, which is, if we're being honest, that's why all these big boy decks exist in the first place. Like, that's why the Jubilee and Sabin, like, it's very much like, I'm not losing to Gambit today. Mm-hmm. But it's fine. That's a reasonable call to make. You're just like, I'll beat the hell out of every Gambit deck. Let's go. Last up, Husky. You've had 30 minutes to come up with a soapbox topic. Have you gotten one?
I got it. Okay, Cam, I'm going to start off with a question. From a game design perspective, what do you think the best part of Snap is?
I think there are a couple contenders. The first is simultaneous turns. The second is how short the games are while still feeling satisfying and conclusive. So I think either one of those, they're very related. Simultaneous turns allows the game to be faster. But whichever one of those you want to pick, I think Snap's biggest game design wins are simplicity and speed.
I'm going to actually add in one more thing that I was thinking about this whole time. It's agency. Almost always in Snap, there is something you can do. If you are losing, you can retreat. In Hearthstone, for example, you retreat, that's the same as you playing on like a 30-minute match out, and that just feels bad. Like your opponent Giga High Rolls, you can't do anything about it. In Snap, you can press your advantage, you can retreat, you can play to one lane or another. And if you really come down to the brass tacks of it all, you do the math at the end of the game, most times there is a winning line.
Yep.
There's something you can do. And I feel like we've just been we haven't lost it. So long as there is a snap and retreat system in this game, there will be more agency than most other card games that I've played. But we said it before, that 1/3 of the meta where you just can't do anything against just feels rough, because I've gotten used to having a way to outscale or outsnap or leave when it's smart to high rolls, and it's just, I feel like we're losing that a little bit. And I thought of this originally because I'm going to PAX East. If you're there, come say hi or whatnot. And one of the guys putting it on, Ryan, was like, "Hey, would you like to do a little panel or something?" And I was like, I would just love to talk about what I love in Snap, and that is just, I can make the plays and I can do something better, and that feels good. Having a way to improve after each game just feels good, and not being able to do anything that my plays don't matter into my opponent other than what turn do I retreat just hurts when I've gotten so used to the opposite.
What if I told you that while I don't think it's an incorrect take, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. I'm going to go in reverse order. Reverse order. Okay. First one is, I think people, and I don't think you're doing this, but I think a lot of the people that are listening to this will say, there was nothing I can do about things. There were things they could have done.
Yes.
I think that I don't think you're doing this. I think you are talking about a real thing, but I do think I want to caution people against hearing what this guy is saying and saying, that's so me, because there's a very real chance that it isn't. The thing I think you're hitting on here is that a lot of Snap games very often in lower powered metas where people are playing scalers and interaction and good points, by definition, there's going to be a winning play based on point allocation.
Yes. It's a 3-lane game.
Yes. And I do agree that's a strength of Snap, but I don't know that strength is as important to it for an average player as it is for someone like you. Someone like you has a very high desire for agency, but anytime there's a ton of agency, it flattens the skill curve vertically. It makes it go more like this. So a worse player loses to a better player more. And you don't necessarily want that. Like, part of what happens when you have this lack of agency is that you are going to lose to a worse player based on the matchup. And that feeling of a lack of agency does feel bad. But by the same token, there is an argument that giving a good player too much agency over the outcome of the game makes it not fun for people who aren't that good.
Why do we have to cater to bad people, KM? We don't have to cater to the poors and the plebeians and the people who don't spend as much time as we do.
Yes,
we want to sit in the nosebleeds and bitch about everything going wrong.
No,
stop alienating me from your viewer base.
Like, no, I just think it's like because I think you are talking about a real thing. Like, as they've made tech cards less prevalent and combo decks more prevalent, the average amount of numbers in a game has gotten bigger, and the allocation of those numbers matters way less. Like, what does it matter whether I play my 40 power in one lane or the other lane? You're losing to it. Who cares, right? Like, that is what you're talking about. And it's real. There are a lot more viable decks that are hitting those numbers that were previously held back by the power of tech cards. And that's an extremely real thing. But I'm kind of jury's out on whether or not it's good. Like, I don't like it. I like when I can do that thing. But I'm not exactly sure, like, as a game design enthusiast, I don't know that it's like a flat yes, no here.
Yeah, that's a really good argument, and I really, really hate it.
Yeah,
it's like,
sorry.
Snap it's not chess. There's a reason we're not playing chess where the better player wins almost all the time. And it's like, yeah, we have location variants, but it's like...
This, by the way, this is why I'm such an asshole to Nocturne. Like,
oh, no,
my community always asks, like, why do you hate Nocturne? So it's this. It's specifically like the vertical flattening of the skill curve. The more agency you give to good players, stop it. Stop giving good players extra agency. They don't need any more. Make more locations like that just blow up the entire board. Get rid of it. I need less locations that just say give stuff here +1 power, and more locations that are just like, you can't discard cards. Like, I need more of those. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I think that they are executing an intentional strategy.
Yeah.
And if you don't like that strategy, I buy it. But like, I do think that it is like not something that they are unaware of. Because I agree. I think I had more fun playing Marvel Snap when the point totals were smaller. And there were more games that were close. But I'll be honest, I don't know how much value that brings. Does that bring value to a game outside of like a very core amount of hardcore consumers? How many people are even perceiving it? How many people even notice? And it's like, I'll never get a good answer to this because I'm asking these questions on a YouTube channel composed entirely of people who would notice. Everyone who watches this is interested enough in the game to notice. So I'll never get a fair answer as to like what the actual wider player base feels. But it is like a real thing. Like, how often do you notice this stuff? Like, how often are you like, oh, I could have won, and that makes me happy and want to play more? Is that even good? What if you realize you could have won and you're like, this game sucks? Like, I don't know. I really don't know.
That's a very different mentality than the one I have, but that is a very, very valid thing to think. Stop making me think about different perspectives, KM. I just want to be angry.
My bad. We're gonna storm Second Dinner headquarters. We are gonna, you catch us outside Ben Brode. I'm going to find you and demand that you nerf Hela again for no reason whatsoever beyond my own vendetta. That's what's happening now. All right, y'all. Thank you so much, and of course, thank you to Huskypuppies for stopping by. Husky, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Huskypuppies35. I am maybe thinking of starting a YouTube channel, but that is still...
Did you see that last time you were here?
Yeah, probably. It's like, I've been doing a lot more challenge streams, like of random things like, oh, can we win with a new deck every single game from my viewers? Can we go through KMBest's old best decks of the week from like 2 years ago, my God, there was a lot of like just random sunspots and armors in there for whatever reason.
Because it was a really, really good destroy meta.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Destroy's easy.
Destroy was like the best deck 2 years ago. I swear.
It's the videos support that idea, but I'm just doing a lot more fun things. I'm about halfway through winning with every single card in the game in a significant way. So we either have to use its effect or it has to be on board. No, just like it's in deck. So I think that'll be some fun.
Wait, were you playing like Death Wave era?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
actually,
why.
no.
Like, that's why we had the armor.
It might have been slightly after, but it's around there. Yeah. I got like 50 weeks in.
Yeah, there's a lot of random armors when it's like the only 2/3 that does anything against Death Wave. Okay, yeah.
That's fair.
All right. A lot of random armors. All right. Okay. Thank you so much for sticking around, Husky. It's always a pleasure. Make sure you check them out. We're going to have the links in the description as well. I've been KMBest. He's been Huskypuppies, and we'll see you in the next one.